Welcome to Golden State Water Company's Water Conservation School. At Golden State Water Company, it has been all about water for more than 80 years. Our team of professionals delivers reliable, quality water and great service to customers in 76 communities across California. We remain committed to educating our customers so they are aware and can make informed decisions regarding their water use.
The module that you are about to view is part 1 of a 4-part series designed to help you learn more about water usage and its conservation here in California. It highlights the sources of water in California that provide the water that we use every day. Part 2 of this series, The California Drought, focuses on the drought that has affected California for the past several years. Part 3, Residential Water Use and Water Conservation Tips, encourages customers to review their everyday water use and provides practical ways they can save water effectively. Finally, Reading Your Meter and Understanding Your Bill, which is the 4th part of our series, helps customers better understand how to read their water meter and their bill so that they can see where their conservation efforts have made a difference and also how the charges to their account are calculated. Part 1. Where does our water come from? Water is continuously moving around, through, and above the earth. It moves as water vapor, liquid water, and ice, and is constantly changing its form. This movement of water is referred to as the hydrologic cycle, or water cycle. Let's take a few moments to review some key components of the hydrologic cycle. The hydrologic cycle starts with evaporation. Heat from the sun causes water to evaporate and rise into the atmosphere as water vapor. As water vapor collects, it forms clouds. As the vapor in the clouds cools, it condenses and becomes a liquid again, falling back to the earth as rain, snow, hail, or sleet. This process is called precipitation. Water that falls on land can flow into surface water sources such as lakes, rivers and streams, and the ocean. Some of the water that falls on land can be captured and stored as ice or snow at higher elevations or in cold climates. Finally, some of the water may percolate underground and become part of an underground aquifer. There are 3 main sources of water that sustain California. These sources include mountain snowpack, water pumped from underground aquifers, and surface water. California is known for warm weather and beaches, but its water supply is heavily reliant on snow. The Sierra Nevada and Southern Cascade Mountains provide roughly 1/3 of the water that is used throughout California in a normal water year. Another third of California's total water supply comes from groundwater. Groundwater is the water found beneath the Earth's surface. Water found here fills spaces between sand, gravel, silt, and clay in water-bearing formations known as aquifers. The rest of our water comes from surface water sources, such as rivers, streams, and lakes. Depending on where you live, your water can come from a nearby well or river, or it may travel hundreds of miles to reach your tap. Some communities may use 100% groundwater, and some may use 100% surface water, while still other communities use a combination of both. While 75% of the available water for California originates in the northern part of the state, 80% of the demand occurs in the southern 2/3 of the state. In order to meet these demands, California has built a water delivery infrastructure that is likely the most extensive anywhere in the world. As you can see from the map, our water infrastructure is very complex and it is capable of moving a drop of water from the Northern California border all the way south to the Mexican border. Let's take a few moments to highlight some of the main parts of this water infrastructure. California's principal river systems are formed by the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers and their tributaries, which drain into the Great Central Valley. The Sacramento River, the longest river within the state, flows from its source at the base of Mount Shasta in the southern Cascade Mountains to its junction with the San Joaquin River. The San Joaquin River begins in the Sierra Nevada near Yosemite National Park and flows 350 miles to join the Sacramento River. The major river in Southern California, and also one of the largest rivers in the western United States, is the Colorado River. It follows the Arizona-California state line before flowing into the Gulf of California in Mexico. The California State Water Project, which is operated by the California Department of Water Resources, is a vital component of our water infrastructure. It is a water storage and delivery system consisting of reservoirs, aqueducts, power plants, and pumping plants that extend more than 600 miles. It pumps water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, delivering it to customers in northern and southern California via the 444-mile-long California Aqueduct. The Central Valley Project is federally managed under the supervision of the United States Bureau of Reclamation. It was built in 1933 to provide irrigation and municipal water to much of California's Central Valley. The project accomplishes this by storing water in the northern half of the state and then transporting it by means of a series of canals, aqueducts, and pumping plants to the San Joaquin Valley and its surrounding areas. Many local projects are also part of this statewide infrastructure. One of these local projects is the Los Angeles Aqueduct from the Owens River. This aqueduct was built in the early 20th century in order to channel water from the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada to Los Angeles and the surrounding region. The 233-mile-long Los Angeles Aqueduct was completed in 1913. At the time of completion, it was the world's longest aqueduct and the largest single water project in the world. In order to move all this water, large amounts of energy are needed. According to the California Energy Commission, the transportation and treatment of water accounts for 20% of California's total energy consumption. In many of California's cities, water is pumped hundreds of miles from its source before it is used. The clean water that flows out of your faucet consumes energy in many stages of treatment and transport before it gets to your tap. This means your conservation efforts provide a double benefit by conserving energy as well as water. So we have discussed where your water comes from and also the California state water infrastructure. But how does this water make its way to your home? Golden State Water Company acquires water from two main sources: groundwater sources and surface water sources. Whether the source of your water is from local groundwater wells, surface water, or a combination of the two, water reaches your home through the local distribution system developed and maintained by Golden State Water Company's team of highly trained professionals.
Part 2. California Drought. Many regions of our state are experiencing drought conditions. It is important that we all together take necessary steps to conserve this limited resource. 2017 marks California's 6th consecutive year of drought. The time period from June 2015 through May 2016 was the third warmest on record for California. Severe to exceptional drought extends across 43% of the state, while moderate to severe drought extends across an additional 41% of the state. Snowpack, through runoff, provides about one-third of the water used by California's cities and farms. The snowpack at the beginning of April is crucial because this is when the snowpack is normally at its peak and begins to melt into streams and reservoirs. As of March 30, 2016, the California Department of Water Resources measured the statewide snowpack to be at 87% of normal for this date. However, as of June 13, 2016, the statewide snow water equivalent was 6% of average for this date. In a new report summarizing drought conditions for the 2016 water year, the California Department of Water Resources shows that the 2012 through 2015 period encompasses the driest 4 consecutive water years in California since 1895, with statewide precipitation at only 62.2 inches. The new water year began on October 1st. A 1.5 month precipitation outlook, November, December, and January, shows a normal precipitation pattern, but it is too early to know how conditions will evolve. As of October 30th, water levels in California's major reservoirs have remained at 46% of the statewide capacity. Conditions in individual reservoirs vary across the state, with those in the north of the state doing better than those further south. For example, the water level at Lake Shasta is at 60% of the historical average. Lake Oroville and Trinity Lake are at 44% and 42% of the historical average, respectively. This picture shows the drastic change to Lake Oroville due to drought conditions from 2011 to 2014. And here is another example of the drought effects on Folsom Lake during the same time period. On January 17, 2014, California State Governor Jerry Brown declared a drought state of emergency and directed state officials to take all necessary actions to make water immediately available. One of the key measures in the proclamation included asking all Californians to reduce water consumption by 20% and referring residents and water agencies to the Save Our Water campaign. On April 1, 2015, the governor issued Executive Order B-2915 that included a directive to implement mandatory water reductions across California to cut water usage by 25% compared to 2013. California's State Water Resources Control Board adopted emergency regulations prohibiting activities that waste potable water and setting strict guidelines that must be followed by water providers like Golden State Water and their customers. In order to achieve mandatory water use reductions established by the State Water Resources Control Board, Golden State Water filed advice letters with the California Public Utilities Commission to activate staged mandatory water conservation and rationing plans, also called Schedule 14.1. On July 1, 2015, Stage 1 of the Mandatory Water Conservation and Rationing Plan was effective for all water systems. Since then, several communities have advanced to higher stages based on local water supply conditions. On May 9, 2016, Governor Jerry Brown issued Executive Order B-3716, requiring the board to adjust its emergency water conservation regulation through the end of January 2017 in recognition of improved urban water supply conditions across the state, and separately take action to make some of the requirements of the regulation permanent. The board adopted the revised regulation on May 18th. June was the first month under the revised regulation. The Governor's Executive Order B-3716 permanently prohibits the following practices that waste potable water: hosing off sidewalks, driveways, and other hardscapes, washing a motor vehicle with a hose, unless the hose is fitted with a shut-off nozzle, operating a fountain or decorative water feature, unless the water is part of a recirculating system, watering outdoor landscapes in a manner that causes excess runoff or within 48 hours following measurable precipitation, irrigating with potable water of ornamental turf on public street medians. Violation of any of these prohibited or restricted water use activities may be subject to a fine for each day in which the violation occurs. A public agency representative may issue a citation in accordance with locally adopted municipal codes, adopted ordinances, or in cooperation with Golden State Water. Golden State Water has implemented local conservation standards for its water systems, reflecting the State Water Board's revised emergency regulations that were issued on May 18, 2016. Many of Golden State Water's systems now have voluntary conservation goals, while others remain in mandatory conservation stages due to limited local water supplies. The new conservation standards are aligned with the State Water Board's shift to locally developed conservation strategies, which challenges water providers to implement conservation policies and supply investments to address the ongoing drought emergency. On June 22, 2016, Golden State Water submitted its self-certification data on local water supply, anticipated demand, and conservation strategies to the State Water Board to comply with the revised emergency regulations that were issued by the state on May 18, 2016. Our customers have done a tremendous job of conserving during this drought, and we encourage the local community to continue using water responsibly and keep existing conservation momentum, as the state will likely consider new conservation regulations in 2017. We will continue to monitor and assess the conditions and implement measures as appropriate to ensure we maintain water reliability and sustainability. In the water world, the acronym GPCD, gallons per capita daily, is often used to refer to per capita daily water use. GPCD can be used for estimating future water use demand, but it is also an important tool for tracking conservation goals, since it provides a baseline for households and individuals to track and compare their own conservation efforts. The GPCD metric is conceptually easy to understand, and it allows for meaningful comparisons between one's own use of water with others in the country, state, county, and the community level. Statewide average residential gallons per capita day, RGPCD, for July 2016 was 114 gallons, slightly up from July of 2015, which was 97.9 gallons. The graph shows monthly average RGPCD by hydrologic region. RGPCDs vary throughout the state, with the North Coast hydrologic region reporting the lowest average water use at 80 gallons per person per day, and the Tulare Lake hydrologic region reporting the highest average water use at 191 gallons per person per day.
Part 3. Water Use and Water Conservation Tips. Did you know that the average American family of 4 uses 400 gallons of water per day? Yearly, that is equivalent to approximately 1 football field filled 1/2 foot deep with water, or 4,000 bathtubs full of water. Let's take a look at typical water use. While there are many areas of the house that use water, the majority of water use is for outdoor applications, such as irrigation. This amount varies depending on the size of the yard and type of landscaping, but on average, 53% of water use is applied outdoors. This chart shows average California indoor household water use. As you can see, Water use is pretty evenly spread between toilet use, washers, shower heads, faucets, and leaks. Now that you have an overview of water use, let's go over some water conservation tips. Golden State Water Company encourages customers to use water responsibly and offers conservation devices, rebates, and programs to help improve water use efficiency. We are pleased to provide all customers the opportunity to receive up to 2 indoor water conservation kits or 1 outdoor water conservation kit, delivered directly to the customer's home for free. These conservation kits can be requested by visiting our website at www.gswater.com, sending an email to conservation@gswater.com, or calling our customer service department at 1-800-999-4033. Now let's go over water-saving tips for the kitchen, bathroom, laundry, and yard. There are many ways to conserve water in the kitchen. For instance, fixing a leaking faucet that drips at the rate of 1 drip per second can save you more than 4,165 gallons per year. Keeping a pitcher of cold water in the refrigerator instead of waiting for the water to get cold from running the tap is another way to save water. When washing dishes by hand, don't let the water run. If you fill one basin with wash water and the other basin with rinse water, you can save 25 gallons of water each time you wash your dishes. Dishwashers typically use less water than washing dishes by hand. Energy Star dishwashers save even more water and energy. Remember to run the dishwasher only when it is full. Another way to save water in the kitchen is to install aerators on the kitchen faucet to reduce flow to less than 1.5 gallons per minute. You can get an aerator for free in our conservation kit. Now let's look at ways to save water in the bathroom. On average, 2/3 of the water used inside your home is used in the bathroom, between toilets, showers, and sinks. Toilet flushing is the single highest use of water in the average home and presents a prime opportunity for water conservation. Did you know that an undetected toilet leak can waste about 200 gallons of water per day? A simple way to determine if you have a leak is to place approximately 3 to 4 drops of food coloring in the tank and wait 15 minutes. If the water in the toilet bowl changes color, there is a leak. Toilet models from 1992 or earlier used between 3.5 and 7 gallons to flush. Newer, high-efficiency toilets use less than 1.3 gallons. You can reduce toilet flushing water use 50 to 80% by switching out an older model toilet. It takes about 70 gallons of water to fill up the tub to take a bath. Taking a 5-minute shower uses only 10 to 25 gallons of water, and cutting shower time can save even more water. Fixing a leaking shower head can save more than 500 gallons per year. The average bathroom faucet flows at a rate of 2 gallons per minute. By simply turning the tap off while brushing your teeth or shaving, you can save more than 100 gallons of water per person each month. Now let's look at the laundry room. Traditional washing machine models use an average of 45 gallons of water per load, while high-efficiency washing machines use less than 25 gallons of water per load. If you have an older model and are looking to replace it, you are going to be saving both water and energy by choosing a high-efficiency washing machine. Also, washing your dark clothes in cold water can save energy and help your clothes retain their color. As we mentioned before, Over 50% of residential water use is applied outdoors. Good management of outdoor water application represents the biggest opportunity for you to save water. Water early in the morning or late in the evening to prevent evaporation. Midday watering can cause losses of up to 30% from evaporation. Another way to save water outside is to use mulch. Mulch retains water, cools down the soil, and reduces evaporation. Also, you may want to dig shallow trenches around individual plants and trees to prevent runoff while watering. If you have a lot of plants outside, you may want to research each plant's water requirement and try to group plants with like watering needs together. You may also want to install drip irrigation to reduce water waste from overspray. At Golden State Water, we are committed to proactive water conservation programs that encourage reduced water use whenever possible and the most efficient use of water that is used. We partner with several organizations that promote efficient use and sustainable water supply. WaterSense, a partnership program of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, seeks to protect the future of our nation's water supply by offering people simple ways to use less water with water-efficient products and services. The Alliance for Water Efficiency is a stakeholder-based 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the efficient and sustainable use of water. Save Our Water is a statewide program aimed at helping Californians reduce their everyday water use. Created in 2009 as a partnership between the Association of California Water Agencies and the California Department of Water Resources, the program offers ideas and inspiration for permanently reducing water use, regardless of whether California is in a drought. Be Water Wise is a resource for water conservation information from the family of regional water agencies and provides information about landscaping, native plant use, and the watering index. Golden State Water Company has developed a video to share information about California's drought emergency and tips to help customers improve water use efficiency at their homes and businesses. Let's watch the video.
Yeah, well, they have little spikies on them, though. You don't want
Longtime San Dimas resident Sherry King needs no convincing about the serious nature of California's drought.
It's sad because we drive up the street and we can see our hills. They're not green, they're brown. You know, we don't get enough rain. Come get me.
Sherry and her family decided long ago to be a part of the solution, converting their yard to drought-tolerant landscaping. Scattered around this region of Los Angeles County, there are growing examples of this type of conservation. Welcome news to Governor Jerry Brown, who issued a drought declaration in 2014 that urged Californians to scale back their water use by 20%.
When the governor says everyone in California needs to save water, I think it speaks to everyone.
How serious is it? California is enduring its fourth straight year of serious drought conditions. Snowpack in the Sierra, which can account for a third of the state's water supply in a normal year, is extremely thin due to minimal storms and warmer temperatures. Water users are drawing down existing water supplies both in above-ground reservoirs and below-ground aquifers.
It is alarming.
Golden State Water Resources Manager and Chief Hydrogeologist Toby Moore says the dry conditions seen at this reservoir on the edge of the Angeles National Forest have led to wells drying up, seawater intrusion along the coast, lower water quality, even sinking of the land itself as underground supplies shrink. It's why Golden State officials note they've made proactive water planning such a priority.
We've really put in a lot of investment to ensure that we have these supplies. Because of the prolonged drought, it's going to take some time to replenish our supplies, and even average or above average rainfall and snowpack for 1 to 3 years may not get us there.
It's why water agencies like Golden State emphasize the importance of water use efficiency in an effort to develop a new mindset.
As far as the drought is concerned, it's a new norm. I think we have to understand that we're not going to have the same water supplies that we did in the past. A lot of residential customers don't realize how much water they're using to water their landscapes. Statewide, it ranges between 50 and 80% depending on the size of the landscape.
Golden State and its partners offer programs and incentives to help customers improve water use efficiency. They vary by community but can include landscape turf removal, low water use landscaping, smart irrigation equipment. Indoors, the company recommends fixing leaks and replacing inefficient fixtures, operating only full loads when washing clothes and dishes, and installing low-flow shower heads and toilets.
Every bill that a customer gets will remind them to save water.
Customers can also report water waste in their neighborhoods online or by phone. Experts know that changing habits takes time and work.
Part 4. Reading your meter and understanding your water bill. We're going to show you how to read your meter, but you can always contact Golden State Water Customer Service Line at 1-800-999-4033 if you have any questions about reading your meter.
Before you can read your meter, you're going to have to locate it. Well, most water meters in California are near the curb in a concrete box marked water. You'll also need to bring a screwdriver to help lift open the lid.
But be careful, because you don't know what sharp things or critters could be under there. So then, take a look at this. You can see that...
They're never going to see that from back there. Why don't you guys come scoot in here?
All right, now, there are a few different brands, but for the most part, they all read the same. Kind of like your car odometer and mileage. As the water passes the meter through here, the arms move around clockwise and the numbers tick away. The small dial in the center of the meter indicates that water is moving through as a low flow.
So if water is leaking that shouldn't be, you can detect it here.
There are different size meters depending on the size of the home and things like whether or not it has fire sprinklers.
It all depends on the facility. For the most, residential meters are 5/8 inches to 3/4 of an inch. Larger homes have the capacity to use more water, in turn using a larger meter, say 1, 1.5, or even 2-inch meters.
The bigger the meter, the bigger the monthly bill. Now, look here again. Water meters in the U.S. typically measure volume in cubic feet. The numbers furthest to the left here are in 100 cubic feet, or CCF. 1 CCF is equal to 748 gallons.
Another important tidbit about the numbers on the far left is that these are the figures the meter reader records once every billing cycle, then compares that number to your last meter reading to get an accurate amount for billing.
As opposed to the right side numbers with the black background, which measures each cubic foot of water being used.
Exactly.
Hey, that's my word.
Moving on.
Even with a newer home, there can still be leaks. But unfortunately, it doesn't tell you on its own about a leak. So here's a surefire checklist of steps to take to find a leak in your home. Ready? First, turn off all the water inside and outside your home, including lawn and garden irrigation. Then go back to your meter and see if the low flow indicator, the center dial, is moving. If it's moving, you may have water leaking somewhere.
Could be a buried water pipe used for irrigation or even a leaky toilet.
But if you suspect a leak involving your pipes, contact your water provider. Main point here is to identify and stop the leak as quickly as possible to save water and money, because guess what?
You aren't picking up the tab?
Nope, the customer is. So pay attention.
We hope this video provided useful information about how to read your meter. Let's now take a look at how to read your water bill. Golden State Water Company has recently redesigned your water bill to make it easier to understand, including a convenient monthly comparison, a message center, and the opportunity to sign up for online communication. Let's highlight some of the features of the new bill. There are many costs related to providing reliable water service 24 hours a day and ensuring your water consistently meets stringent federal and state water quality standards. The current activity section of your bill includes the name of the rate schedule, a list of fees and temporary surcharges, and credits. The total quantity used is measured in 100 cubic feet, or CCFs. 1 CCF is equal to 100 cubic feet, or 748 gallons. The service charge is commonly used by all water utilities and allows them to cover a portion of their total cost to operate and maintain their water system. The service charge varies depending on the customer meter size, but it is not a meter charge or fee to rent or pay for the meter itself.
This table shows your property's usage for 3 different billing periods and identifies the following information. The 2013 usage identifies your property's historical water usage in 2013 for each period. The target usage identifies your property's targeted water allocation for each period. Actual usage identifies your property's actual usage. Water usage is based upon average daily use per bill period in 2013 and calculated with the maximum number of days for a customary bill period, either 33 days for monthly bills or 66 days for bi-monthly bills.
Your bill also includes information about the drought and the regulations that apply to drought management in California. If you ever have any questions about your water bill, please don't hesitate to contact our Customer Service Center. Our customer service team is eager to help answer any questions you might have. From all of us at Golden State Water Company, we want to thank you for doing your part to conserve water. For more information, please visit our website at www.gswater.com/drought or call 1-800-999-4033.
Thank you for participating in Golden State Water Company's Water Conservation School. If you would like to request a one-time allocation surcharge adjustment or have the flow restrictor removed after 7 days, please complete the quiz provided below with a score of 75% or higher. Please note, completed quizzes will only be accepted from the verified account holder. If you are a tenant or property manager, please contact the property owner.